A New York dad sentenced to 25 years for running over his estranged wife and stabbing her in front of their three children. What is going on in New York? Let's talk about it. This is Criminal Justice Corner, where we discuss true crime stories. We give you the real details surrounding what occurred, and then we give you actionable advice on and tips on how you can potentially get yourself out. Today, I have with me a very special guest, Christopher Melton Jr. Mr. Melton is a Chicago hometown hero. He is the owner of Act One Development and a veteran of the U.S. Army. Mr. Melton, can you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself?
Hello, everyone. Basically, I'm a general contractor. Been in the industry for about 15 years and consistently growing and building a business, trying to create opportunity and a legacy for my family. I really take a lot of pride in what I do. Also, I'm a father of a 7-year-old son that makes me proud every day. So that's a little bit about what I do.
Now, is it true that you're based in Chicago?
Yes, I'm based in Chicago. Located in the south suburbs. I service pretty much all of Chicagoland. We specialize in kitchen and bath remodel. We're also a cabinet wholesaler, and we do offer some consulting for some some jobs. If some educational assistance is needed to get through a project, those are some of the service that we offer right now.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being my special guest today. Let's dive into this
Thank you.
episode. You're welcome. So, on December 27th, 2022, we know that Stephen Giraldo, he went and he was laying in wait for his I would say ex-wife now, his ex-wife Sophia Giraldo,
Hmm.
as and he's a bus driver, well, former bus driver now, as she was coming to get their three children, three boys, three lovely boys. He was
Hmm.
laying in wait for her. As she came out, he and his white Ford Explorer drove full speed ahead into her.
Let's not forget the detail part about before he did this, he told the kids, "Hey, you all
He
buckle
most
up."
certainly did. How I don't even know the proper word. Brutal, terrible. Like it's so many adjectives to describe that.
So
Traumatizing.
when you hear about an incident like this, your mind goes to thinking like, what type of mindset or what was a person thinking to do something like this? They were still legally married,
Yep,
and this is the mother of your children,
three of them.
and the children were present.
They were in the vehicle with him.
So it would look like he had made the predetermination that when he seen her that this is what he was gonna do.
So he
Um,
planned it out. We know he planned
yeah,
it out. This is a couple days after Christmas.
right.
So what was his Christmas like that he felt like he needed to do this? And then
Um, Not to offer him any bail, but a lot of times when people are suffering, holidays bring about some depression and some different anxiety. Not to make any excuse for anything that he's done, but
his bad behavior.
I would say that holidays do bring out some emotional, strenuous time for a lot of people.
Yeah,
So that logically, I would just try to apply some of that perspective there.
yeah. Now we
It's
do
very
know,
unfortunate about the situation because she did survive.
thank goodness.
She
But we
did
do
survive.
know before that day, before he mowed her down, we do know that they had dinner together with the kids. So is this like a reaction to the dinner? Did the dinner not go well? Did he maybe try to get back with her and she reject him? Like
Hmm.
what occurred to me in my thinking, what occurred during that dinner that he felt like he needed to get up at the crack of day that next morning and do this?
Based on how the incident ended up happening, I would say he was definitely in a space where he just lost his mind or just made the decision that whatever was going on, he was going to go a different way about dealing with it. Um,
Definitely, because
we
we
do.
know once he mowed her down, he climbed over his oldest son in the vehicle, got out of that vehicle, and proceeded to
Right, right,
stab Sophia with a knife.
right. So when he decided to accelerate the vehicle towards Sophia, she was near some a brick concrete porch area,
Right.
which when he hit her, it launched her in the air, and it also caused the vehicle to roll on its side.
Right.
And while the vehicle was on the side, so he climbed out of the vehicle over the son that I am to believe that was in the passenger seat
Yep. In the front seat.
to get
Hmm.
access to Sophia, and then proceed to stab her. She did suffer some additional major wounds.
Yep. A liver laceration, broken bones, neurological damage.
Right,
But
which is
she did survive, but she's still unconscious
yeah,
to this
she's been
day.
unconscious
And
for over 10 months behind this
exactly.
incident. And then
Right.
when we look at the bigger picture, now you have, I believe, the kids were 9 and 11 or somewhere
That's
around
correct.
that age,
Yeah. Hmm.
and now they are here without a mother and a father because he's now
Correct.
up behind jail and prison for 25 years.
Yeah.
He
He
did end
just
up
was sentenced.
he did end up pleading guilty to attempt murder.
Right.
But like she's still unconscious behind this incident.
Right.
I would like to just take a moment, if I don't know if this is like conventional for you, but just a moment of silence to pray for her and her well-being, because this is a very like sad story. So
Yeah. In
yeah,
honor, and we did this story. Let me just be transparent with the listeners. We did this story in honor of Domestic Violence Month.
yes,
October 2023 is when this
yes,
recording is taking place. We wanted to shine a light on this very difficult subject, and we know that there are survivors of this, and we want to shine a light on this because we know that Sophia is not the only person that's dealing with this type of thing. She's not the only mother that is going through this. So we definitely wanted to pay homage to Sophia, to give her due, to let other women know that they don't have to suffer alone, if you will.
this is very heavy, very very heavy. Just imagining that them children are gonna, are they in the position that they are in. There's been an enormous amount of support from the community.
Yep, a
Uh,
GoFundMe. They
a
raised over
GoFundMe. Yes,
$50,000.
yes. So there's some financial backing to assist and help with the with the kids' well-being, which is good. But nothing is like having your mother and your father around.
Right,
And now their lives are changed forever.
definitely. But we can definitely pray for her. Go ahead.
I just want to take a couple seconds of silence. So
Certainly.
yeah. So going forward, like when I think about this case, I
Mm-hmm.
just really just feel for the children.
Right.
We all experience some type of events in our lives, especially in our childhood, that mold us, that affect us in our adulthood.
Absolutely.
Most adults that have experienced trauma in their lives, or just when they discover, when they're on a, like for me, on my journey to become a healthier version of myself, I had to trace a lot of things back to my childhood and my experiences in my childhood.
Okay.
So, while some of these situations, when they happen, when things happen in your life, you kind of suppress them naturally, get
Definitely.
past them. But these kids are going to have to revisit this situation over and over again until they find a way to heal from this.
And I hope that whomever that is their guardians now, therapy for them, because that'll be
Absolutely.
the best and best way and the healthiest way, in my opinion, for them to learn to process those feelings, so that they don't carry it negatively with them as they grow older. They
Yeah.
need to process those feelings, that situation in a positive way. No, they're going to have to deal with it. Their mother is in a coma. She's unconscious. Their father is in jail. But it can be handled in a way that doesn't make them, hurt others as well.
Yes. Yes. So, I just, as I'm reading more about the notes and understanding, or about when reading more about the situation and understanding what took place, I did find out that she was an entrepreneur,
Yep. She had a
and
podcast just like this one.
she had a podcast. Our podcast, she was the host of Unfiltered and Free.
Hmm.
She seemed to be a very high energy woman. She was learning to love herself again,
Yep.
both inward and outward. The one of the challenges that did occur when she was with her husband is that she had discovered that he had a sex addiction,
Right.
and
Yeah,
that
she
was one of the
discovered porn on that computer of theirs.
yeah, and that was one of the things that led to their separation.
Right.
And she did file for divorce.
Hmm.
It wasn't official and it wasn't final yet, but I would take that as I would look at that situation and say, we all have our challenges and our hurdles and obstacles that we all face individually in life. I
Right.
think it's just very important to point out that whatever it is that we're dealing with, that to know that we are not alone in what we're dealing with,
Right.
and that we can get professional help to overcome these challenges. As we speak about childhood trauma, that may be some trauma in both of their lives that led them to be in this position, to where this situation
Absolutely.
ever happened. So
Because
I
we know hurt people hurt.
yes,
So
absolutely.
clearly, he saw some example. Maybe it was in his home, maybe it was a
Yeah,
family member, maybe it was an extended friend.
yeah.
Some he had to see something, and
There was some
then
level of
it could even been on the
exposure.
TV.
Yeah, there was some level of exposure
Exactly.
that
On his end,
that created this thought
him as the
process in
person
his
today.
mind.
Right.
It might have been some exposure when he was younger or older, but whatever it was something that was exposed to him that wasn't necessarily guided and treated the right way. Go
Exactly.
to a mindset of destruction
Yep.
or a murderous intent
Yep.
behind his anger and frustration, or his just emotional imbalance in whatever situation that he was dealing with. This is what he sought to do in that moment, putting more emphasis on the importance of just finding a way to become the more healthier version of ourselves. She has seemed to be on course and well into that new life that she had discovered for
Hmm.
herself.
She was,
um,
and it seems like he was maybe jealous of that, and didn't want her to be happy.
maybe sometimes in situations we have our loved ones, and as individuals we end up growing, but
Hmm.
not as a unit we don't end up growing.
That's
And
true.
maybe her growth and her decision to make her for her life to be different going forward
Hmm.
had made him feel like he was gonna be alone, and he couldn't visualize that. They were married for what we say 13 years.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it
So
was a long
it was
time, like over a decade.
it was a long tenured relationship. And but they had a history of some domestic issues,
Right.
coupled with the sex addiction that he was dealing with.
Yeah. And
His,
that was towards
his
the end, because we don't know if that was previously, because maybe she would have gotten out sooner, but
yeah.
definitely towards the end that was there.
So the way that she ended up finding out about the sex addiction is that she was working on some things. It was a long day. She had a bunch of tasks that she was trying to get done, and she sat down and opened her computer to take a look at some work that she was about to attempt to do. And
Right.
she opened it up, and she got to, and the YouTube page was open, and she seen some searches there that triggered her to look a little bit deeper into the situation, and that's how she discovered the problem that her husband was dealing with. And I'm a firm believer that everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
And in the time that she found out, it was a gift to her in the situation to discover that, so that she can start to move herself in a direction that will create a healthier environment for herself and the children.
Right.
It just didn't, at this particular point, we don't have a fairy tale story in this situation.
And we
So,
know with domestic violence victims and survivors that when they want to leave, when they try to leave, that is the most dangerous time for them.
yeah,
And unfortunately, that is the case with this story. And it's sad that this happened to her. But that is what occurs, that abuser realizes that they've lost control, and these are the things that they do to try to regain control. They're going to try to break you down. They're going to try to abuse you to the highest extent that they can. And in this case, he tried to kill her. Thank God that she survived, but that was his goal, because he did call 911 after he did all of this, after he ran her over, after he stabbed her and said, I hit my wife. And then I think in another portion of the call, he said, I think I killed her. So he knew what he was doing. He was not oblivious. So he knew
mhm,
his actions were going to result in a lot of harm to her.
yeah, yeah. One of the things I do want to point out is that I did take a look into her podcast. I would encourage, anyone that may be potentially dealing with any domestic issues or just trying to raise themselves up out into a better situation to look at some of her messages. She has some very positive messaging. I think it would pay high homage to her life and her devotion to what her mission was, because she was sharing her life story
Yeah.
about her situation, and she was encouraging women to take the necessary steps to better their personal situation.
Now, Chris, I always like to end each podcast with giving the listeners actionable advice. If a woman, if a man is in a domestic violence situation, of course, the relationship normally starts out good. They are, it's always the honeymoon phase, we like to call it. But if it turns bad, if one person starts to abuse another, whether it be physically, whether it be mentally, what do you advise them to do?
I'll speak from a male standpoint. I would say, for the men out there struggling with, these type of challenges, or you find yourself in a position where you have these type of thoughts, I would encourage you to try to operate with some form of restraint, walk away, get some help, figure out some ways to keep yourself calm, avoid situations that take you to that dark place, and figure out a way to get that darkness out of you. That I believe that was a seed that was planted inside of him at some point in his life that he didn't deal with, and maybe it came out at a time that he didn't expect. It's hard to visualize, a husband being married for 13 years, just waking up one day and just snapping and losing all of just committing an act such as this. So
Yeah.
I would encourage men out there to, seek help. Don't be afraid of counseling. I would say for me personally, a person who's I've been in dozens of sessions trying to better myself mentally and emotionally. That counseling does work,
Hmm.
therapy does work. Being able to deal with problematic things that affect our lives directly can lead us to a healthier version of ourselves, a version of ourselves that we could be more proud of, that we can be in a place of happiness and peace. And most of the time, in doing so, we will create a better environment, not just for ourselves, but for our loved ones. Men, we're supposed to be leaders. We're supposed to give our household direction. We're supposed
Absolutely.
to, show up, and we're supposed to be protectors of everyone, our wife and our kids.
Hmm.
And in order to do so, we have to be more conscious about what our current state is. I know a lot of men feel like that it doesn't matter, how we feel or what we think, but it does matter. It matters to everyone in our household, especially. So, taking the time out, I know it's a lot of times there's a focus and a commitment to create financial balance in the household. So you may be working long hours, or you
Hmm.
just maybe be struggling to gain consistent supportive income for your family. But it's life is about balance.
Yeah.
So just as well as we can succeed, or we're exhausting our options to find a way financially, we still have to be conscious of who we are mentally and emotionally. And by doing so, as men, as adults, we set a standard in our household that there's an importance to have this type of balance across the board. And I think in situations like that, when we can, as a man, as a leader myself, I found that operating in that mindset has done great, served me greatly when it comes to my family situation and raising my son. I can
Hmm.
confidently stand up and be a version of myself that I know my son is watching me, and I can feel great about the things that he's seeing and those and the way that he sees me move. So I don't have any issue with him mimicking that behavior. So I would
Absolutely.
definitely encourage men to, not just be one track minded of being a provider, or just focus on providing and security alone. Operate in balance. Operate in a space that gives you peace um and happiness, because it matters. You and that what you feel internally it's what you end up giving to those that are around you. So the better space that you are in,
Mhm.
the better situation you can promote for your family and loved ones.
Absolutely. I definitely think that is really great advice for men and for women because if you're not balanced, your home isn't balanced, your work life isn't balanced, nothing else is balanced if you aren't balanced, especially if you're the head because there are single moms out there, there's single dads out there. So I definitely think that is a really great advice that you're giving our listeners. Now, some advice that I would like to give the listeners is if you find yourself in that situation, tell somebody, tell a friend, tell a loved one, do not suffer in silence because a lot of people find shame in these types of situations. And there is no shame in it. Just because a person that you love is treating you a certain kind of way does not mean that you deserve it, does not mean that you asked for it, does not mean that you are wrong or did something wrong in any kind of way. Do not suffer in silence. Speak your truth. Of course, you might not be able to speak your truth to that abuser. Tell someone. Do not keep it inside because these types of things occur and everyone around you is left trying to scramble and figure out what happened. Well, I didn't see it coming. She never said nothing. He never said anything. We need to know. Your loved ones want to know. If you tell them in advance, maybe they might have some actionable advice that can help you. Maybe they might have some resources that can help you. Do not suffer in silence would be my recommendation. Tell somebody, tell a friend, tell a coworker, tell a supervisor, tell anybody that you could think can help. If you don't have a friend, a loved one, I mean, tell a police officer. You know, some people don't like authorities, but you have to tell somebody. Do not suffer in silence would be my recommendation.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
Now, Chris, can you tell the listeners how they can find you if they wanted to get your services?
The you can reach me. I'll give the phone number first. The business number is 708-595-2693. Again, the company is Act One Development. General contractor, kitchen and bath specialist, cabinet wholesaler, dream fulfiller. I like to bring people's dream vision of their home and their sanctuary to life. That's one of the things that I take very prideful and apply my best efforts to. If you're looking to get into in real estate investment and you're looking for some guidance and need some consulting, you can reach out for me there for that as well. Currently, you can find me on Instagram at Aqua Development. I do have social media, Facebook page at Aqua Development. If you want to send me an email, the email is aquadevelopmentcorp@gmail.com. That's Aqua with two T's. One is spelled out ONE, developmentcorp at gmail.com. Yeah, so you can reach me on any of those social media or email or phone number.
Awesome. I want to thank you so much for being my special guest today. And Criminal Justice Corner now has a website for anybody who wants to catch up with us on the web. It's simply criminaljusticecorner.com. You guys know I love to keep things super simple. Please like, subscribe, and share this video, this podcast. We are available on Amazon Music. We are available on Spotify. And of course, if you're watching us on YouTube, again, please like, subscribe, and share. You can find us on Instagram at Criminal Justice Corner. And then if you want to get in contact with me, if you need consulting services for digital media, you can find me, Dr. Jennifer Matthews, at drjennifermatthews.com. That's drjennifermatthews.com. We will see you next time on Criminal Justice Corner podcast. Thank you.